Sometimes you come across a real gem, and this is a Sunbeam. And Sunbeam started making cars in the early 1900s, and they made wonderful classic cars, and they prided themselves in making a perfect car. And this one is a limousine in that it's got a piece behind the driver's station. The driver is the chauffeur. Behind the driver there's this glass little panel, and there's a little tube that's a little sort of like the old hearing aid. It's up by his head there, so he can talk to the people behind him who obviously own the cars and say, take us to London or take us to wherever. So his job was to get them there. So he would have had his chauffeur's uniform with jobber pants and a little cap and a lovely sort of tunic. The odd thing about this is the gear stick isn't in the middle, so if you look in there, immediately you think it might be an automatic because there's no gear stick. But it has got a gear stick. It's right over in this corner over here. It's a gate gears, so it's like the old trucks. You sort of 1, 2, move it over 3, 4, and that's how it worked. You can see what's coming behind you from the mirrors that are strapped onto the spare tyre on each side. So it's probably easy to adjust, so you're looking down the right side. And the engine in this thing is actually quite unique as well. So I think what we should do is we'll start at the front and work our way to the back. So I'll open this up and we'll have a look at the engine. So Sunbeam, like other British manufacturers, and American for that matter, have their logo all over their engine. And this is a 6-cylinder straight engine. And we've got a magneto back here to a jet generator, to a water pump, and to the timing gears on the front. In the front here we've got a propeller, but in some of the early Sunbeam engines they didn't have a propeller. So they just went without a propeller, so it must have been able to stay cool. So this engine is absolutely amazing. So on the front, in case none of that worked, you've got a crank handle, but I certainly wouldn't want to try and crank that. And so at the back there's a hood, and this hood is designed to expose the two people sitting in the back. So if it's a wedding car, something like that, the bride and the groom can wave at people as they get driven along. And of course, as I said, there's a chauffeur driving, and if these people are going to some important do, and this little gizmo squeaks, which means you want to talk to the driver. So, hello driver, you turn left up here and take us down to the swimming pool, we want to have a swim. And the car goes round to the left and off to the swimming pool you go. But this is all part of the factory when they made this thing. And looking in the forward here, we've got a couple of little tassels, and that's all part of the seating arrangement. The seats, you sit sideways looking at each other. But those are sort of optional extras, and I guess if you had this, you'd probably just maybe have the children there if you were taking them, or not, you just fold them away and just sit in the back seat yourself. Just below me there's a window winder, so you can wind these windows up and down. And all these little arrangement here, it's got a steel piece that fits in. That clicks over to that, and that clicks into that, so it's all just wonderfully solid. So when it comes up, there's a little piece slides into the top there that makes the whole thing waterproof. And I don't know if you can see these or not, but they lock in the roof. Once it's back up there, it's all locked in and waterproof and beautiful. Wow. Done and dusted, just like that. Wow, that's amazing. Little shove, and you're back and out of the rain. You're out of the rain in sort of 0.1 of a second. Amazing. So what we've got in this whole right-hand corner here is the gear stick. And so I'll get in a minute and just see how hard it is to get at that. But that's the gear stick. It's got a gate gear system down here of 4 gears. And I guess there's this little lever here. You pull that up and stick it into reverse. As I said, this is leather. It's got these little buttons that push it in, and this is the driver's seat, I suppose, so they're not too fussed about the driver. And this has had a wonderful wear over the 97 years old that this thing is. And an advance and retard on the steering wheel, like we saw with that Ford we looked at the other day. It's the same. This little bobble thing here is the horn, and this here is so the driver can talk to the passengers. So this will go beep, like I showed you before from the back. They want to talk to the driver, beep, and he'll just look at this and talk. That goes back to the back, and he can talk about whatever he needs to talk about. And just on the inside here, we've got a window that will slide shut. So the conversation is private in the back, and this guy just gets on with driving the car. So I'm in the cab, and a great big huge no power steering, and over in here there's that gear stick I was telling you about. So I'd have to sort of do that every time I want to change the gear, and as I said, normally if you look in here there's a gear stick, but there ain't no gear stick in here. And there's a little pattern of what the gear sticks do on the dashboard there. We've got a speedo, a clock, volts, oil, and the amps, volts and amps. That's interesting. A little on-off switch there, and that's about it. Little switch here. There's a little, as I said, advanced retard here on the steering wheel. That may have been a horn, but we've got a you just love it, a horn there. It's got a rear vision mirror, and as I said, if you see this little doofer up here, that you can talk to the people in the back. So let's just see what this does. You get out of the way to that, wouldn't you? So the bonnet, the mud guards are made of steel. All the metal around the cabin is aluminium. The bottom half of this engine is aluminium. The whole thing weighs 2 tonne, which is a fair weight going along the road, so I suppose it's got good brakes to haul that up when it needs to. But it's spectacular. So from 1926 through to now, as I said, 97 years old, and I'm sure you'll see this on the road at various occasions, like the Napier big event in February. So if you're going out that way, maybe keep an eye out for it. But Sunbeam, another thing that Sunbeam did, in about the same time as they built a race car. And this race car was designed to have a go at the land speed record. And it got over 200, I think it was 207 miles an hour on Daytona Beach. They got this car up to. It was not quite 1,000 horsepower, although they said it was 1,000 horsepower, and it had 2 engines in it. So an engine in the front, an engine behind that engine connected, and that added up to almost 1,000 horsepower. So they raced this thing down Daytona Beach and got the land speed record at 207. And that lasted about 3 months before Mr. Campbell had a go at it, and he beat that. But Sunbeam holds a land speed record. So good on Sunbeam. My uncle, he had a Sunbeam, and it was where was it? It'd be about 1960 something. Had this wonderful shape to it, and I always remember that car. It was Sunbeam, beautiful thing. Interesting enough, there's only 2 of these in the world that are made to this configuration. 2. This is one of 2. So in terms of value, it's got to be worth a few dollars. I'm absolutely sure of that. So, and just finally, this radiator, which has got this little flying lady on the top here, but it didn't come with the car. You can actually buy those and stick them on. This radiator surround is solid German silver. How about that? That's amazing. And it's got lights. Maybe Lucas lights were doing them back then, but we saw one of these in a caravan. You might recall we did a caravan, and it had Baby Austin side lights as the night light inside the caravan. I'm just looking at these thinking of that caravan. But anyway, there she is, the Sunbeam and as I said, a real gem. Well, I'm at Fully Equipped, and Fully Equipped is where they make crown canopies. And in 1993 I did an ad, you might remember, where I took a canopy off a ute, put a little outboard motor on it, out and caught a fish or two, and then came back and kicked the door down like a landing ramp, and woohoo! And that just sort of, there's two guys on the beach watching me do it, and I sort of scratched my head, how am I going to get out to those birds? Ah, I know, the canopy. So that worked a real treat. Now we've done another ad. They thought 30 years on it's time to do another one, and which I'll show you in just a minute. But first of all, this is where they make the canopies. It's a huge process they go through. It takes about a week, I think, for one canopy to sort of be completed from woe to go, and they make them of fiberglass. They polish this fiberglass, and it goes right through this whole factory and pops out the other end where they put in the windows, and then when it gets put on a ute, they do that here as well. They make sure everything's all waterproof, and then it's all finished, and the customer drives the ute away. And they've got a few utes stacked up around the back there waiting for their canopies. But one of the problems is the ones that are coming over, the utes that are coming over from overseas, they get held up, and of course production lines here get held up. So this is one of the reasons why there's so many canopies behind me, is just waiting for the utes to come off the boat so they can fit them. So that's pretty much that. But crown canopies, you can do all sorts of things with them, as you know. But keeping your gear dry is one of them. You can go camping in them, of course. You can just sort of chuck a mattress on the back of your ute and have a bit of a snooze while you're four-wheel driving and things like that around the country. Would you like to come and catch a pig with me tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Excellent. Well, here I am in the cafe, and it's just like going back to 1950. The chairs of the time, Formica I think it's all called, and the black and white floors. There's Elvis Presley over there, there's a jukebox over there, there's memorabilia behind me, that beautiful montage of cars behind me. There's even an old Dodgem. Remember the Dodgems that they used to show? Boom, boom, boom. Wonderful. And I'm having a big breakfast. It's bacon and eggs. And so if you come here with your group to have a look at the museum, you can sit down and have a wonderful meal before you even start. So look at that. Bacon and eggs, sausages, tomatoes, toast, mushrooms, the whole 9 yards. And a cup of tea to wash it all down. So there you go. When you come here, come and have a meal first and then enjoy yourself in the museum. Well, with me is Doug, and Doug, welcome to our little show. And Doug used to drive buses like the one behind us in the 1960s, the same as I did. And Doug, you were in Gaunt Street, and I think Gaunt Street had Leyland Super Royal Tiger Leyland.
Yeah, I did my training at Gaunt Street in, well, must have been 64.
And the inspector guy would have taken you out on the bus, because I think they taught you all the buses that they had.
Well, all I did was Jervois Road, the trolley bus, Jervois Road to start with. Then I moved out to Onehunga.
Oh yes,
and did the Onehunga run.
With a trolley bus, or
yeah,
yes.
From Victoria Street, up Queen Street, K Road, Simon Street, Clover Pass,
out
through Broadway and Newmarket, down Manukau Road to Royal Oak, and then down Queen Street in Onehunga, and the turnaround was at the bottom.
And then you come all the way back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with those trolley buses, what I remember about trolley buses was they had two big things on the back. In fact, we're going to have a look at the back of this bus so we can explain it better. We're going to have a look at the back. Yeah.
Full battery.
Yes. On the back of the trolley buses, Doug, there was two big ratchet things, I suppose, that were sprung, and there was rope that went into them.
Yeah.
And as the wires went up and down, so the ropes went up and down to keep the keep those poles on the wires.
On the wire, yeah.
Yeah, but when you came to a turn off, like you're going down Khyber Pass Road from Simon Street, I don't know, I can't remember if there was a mark on the road where you had to put your foot on the accelerator, and then that sprung the little things up on the wires.
Yeah, there was a yellow line on the road before you got to go to the line to go down Khyber Pass, but you had to take your foot off the accelerator. The power, had to take the power off, and as you turned in, you had to put it back on.
Oh, okay.
I thought.
So you needed power to cause I thought if you wanted to go straight through down onto Newlands Road, you just drifted. Drifted to go straight through and then power on to go around the corner. And had those little things on top and click and away you went. But sometimes those poles would come off and they sort of...
They'd go everywhere.
Everywhere. So then these little springy things on the back, you had to sort of pull all the rope out till it got to and then feed it all back in again, put it on the wire, put the other one on the wire, and you were off again. I just remember doing that once on Khyber Pass corner. There was a whole bunch of girls standing on the corner waiting to cross. So instead of drifting, I put the power on. Of course, I was going straight through, and the twanging way they went. And so I stopped, got out. Oh, hello, girls. Put these things back on the wires. Bye. Got back in the bus, and off you went. But sometimes that just happened. You missed it, or something happened, and you had to get out and do it.
Yeah.
Now
and hold the traffic up.
The old trolley bus, they had a big battery in them, so if you weren't connected to the wires, you could still move.
Yeah.
So you had to move it around. It's like
if the poles came up and it was a dangerous situation, you could still slowly go, say, around the corner
and get yourself out of harm's way, and your passengers for that matter. Yeah. But I just remember these things on the back. Yeah. And we looked at a trolley bus in our last program when we were talking about buses. There was an Onehunga trolley bus there. The Motat people had one.
Oh, yeah.
But those Onehunga trolley buses were the first ones to come. I think the trams were still operating when they came, although they were going to phase trams out. 1956, I think, was the last one.
Yeah.
Those Onehunga trolley buses were already on the job as well. But the trams had one pole, trolley buses had two.
Yeah.
And I think because the trams had steel wheels that earthed the system, and the rubber tyres, of course, you can't earth the system with rubber tyres, so you had to have two poles, and that's why that happened. And then, I don't know how long it was, but the City Council decided that, no, we're not going to do trolley buses anymore. We're going to go to the diesel. And now they're all bleating about, electric this and electric that. So somebody made the wrong decision whenever that one was made. Yeah. I actually enjoyed the trolley bus. I drove one from the railway up to K Road, the shuttle bus.
Queen Street shuttle.
That's the one. Yeah. There were two of us on it. So
I've read your last chapter 16.
So we had a lot of fun. Wayne McConaughey and I sort of doing that double shift. So did you get to drive a diesel bus at Gaunt Street?
No, not at Gaunt Street. It was just trolley.
Oh, righto.
I drove diesel at Onehunga.
And they had Daimlers like this?
Yeah, they sent me out to Glendowie And or one morning I was going to Glendower about 6:15 in the morning, no, 6:45, and it had been raining, and I turned right into Green Lane Road East. The road was clear as far as I was concerned. It was not quite dark, and next minute I heard a woof, and I thought, what's that? So I stopped, and a couple of girls on a moped had run into the back of the bus behind the wheel, but they'd hit the white sign on the road. A couple of nurses going to Hamilton.
On a moped.
Yeah, and they ended up in Middlemore Hospital. But
wow.
and I wasn't allowed to go and see them because the accident guy said I might change my story and they won't get insurance.
Oh, okay. There was something like that happened to me. There was a guy, he cut me off about 10 times, just straight in. I had all the passengers, did this lurchy forward, and then for some reason I accidentally hit him. He cut me off and I banged the back of him. So I pulled over, I said, here's my name and address, gave it to him. Nothing ever heard of again.
Yeah, well, I didn't hear anything of this either.
No.
But I got, during the Glendower run, the passenger had to tell me where to go, because I went to go up one road and they all said, no, you're supposed to go up that road.
Okay. What we're going to do, folks, we'll pop into the driver's station, and that'll bring back a few memories as well. Well, I've come into the museum now, and just looking around, there's all sorts of cars from the 50s and 60s, 30s, there's a couple of 20s in here even, and it's a magnificent collection. So there's lots and lots of stuff in this museum for you to look at, lots and lots of stuff that's going to take you right back to the day, and if you're new, well, there's lots of stuff here about New Zealand history. So if you come here, you're coming to Railside Place, which is off Rifle Range Road in Hamilton. Certainly worth a look if you belong to a car club or some sort of a club and you want a place to go. This is the place to come, and you can start off with a meal in the cafe. Come and have a look, enjoy yourselves. I absolutely recommend it. So I'm waiting at Avondale to go back into the city. It's about 9 o'clock at night. There's nobody on. Anyway, this girl turns up, and I thought I knew her. But anyway, so she sat down there, and we're chatting away, blah blah blah, and I didn't give her a ticket. You don't need a ticket. And I'm wearing a civilian jersey. And I had a little transistor radio that's totally illegal. So I've got 3 things wrong. I've got Robin hasn't got a ticket, I've got a jersey on, and I've got a transistor radio on. So anyway, when I get to Kingsland and turned around that corner heading there, up towards the Hydra Bacon people, there's an inspector.
Wasn't it Kiwi Bacon?
Kiwi Bacon, that's it. There was an inspector at the next stop, and I thought, holy shit. So I ripped the ticket off, gave it to Robert, hauled this jacket off, and managed to get this all done. Transistor radio got dropped. Cardi's behind the seat. Robin's got a ticket. The inspector gets on. I'm sure he saw what I was doing. And sort of chuckling to himself, he got on. And he just looked at me, sort of looked at Robin, can I look at your ticket, please? She said, so she gave him his ticket. I hadn't punched it. Just enough time to give her one, let alone punch one and give it to her. So anyway, he said, you haven't punched this ticket. Oh, haven't I? Oh, well. He said, well, watch yourself in future, blah, blah, blah. And then he got off a couple of 3 stops later. So anyway, we went into the city, and Laura and I ended up getting married. Okay. Yeah, so that was interesting. So that was one of the highlights, I suppose, of driving a trolley bus in the middle of the night. meet your future wife.
Yeah. I do remember going down to Onehunga to the roundabout, and there was a bus in front of me, and when I pulled into the roundabout, we touched bumpers. I got out of the cab and went across the road. I went, you know what was across the road? Pub was across the road. And when I come back, the bus had gone. I'd forgot to put the handbrake on, and then it disappeared down the road.
Oh dear. So you would have gone, oops. Didn't get the sack for that, did you?
No.
There must have been a hell of a short of drivers then.
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't think anything like that ever happened to me, no. So did you enjoy your, the years of driving? Did the public drive you nuts a bit?
It was really great when they changed from LSD to dollars. Dollar to decimal, I guess, currency. All the elderly people thought that the $10 note was a quid. The quid was a $2 note.
Right.
And you could have made a lot of money if you weren't honest. And you tell the elderly people, no, I can't remember which way around it was, but I think they thought the $10 note was a $2, was the...
Oh right, because it was more or less the same colour,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
So, that's how it was. And you give them the change and they say, no, you've done something wrong. And I said, no, you're the one that's done something wrong.
And so the queue's getting longer out the door while everybody's saying, come on. And you're saying, come on, I've got to get this thing on time.
No, I didn't. No, I don't. No, I got told off for going too fast.
Oh, really? So being a trolley bus, of course, you can't pass anybody. So if there's 2 or 3 buses on the same run and you catch one up,
Yeah.
you just got to sit behind them, yeah. And so the people who are in the front bus, and the bus is packed, if they just sort of got on your one, they're going to the same place. And
you used to catch, if you caught up with a bus in front of you, you'd get out of the bus and go and tell them to keep going, and you'll pick the passengers up.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, wow. I remember 5 o'clock, everybody's going home, the whole bus is packed and everybody's standing, they're all hanging on to the straps, reading the paper. And you go around from Piper Pass into Mountain Road, and the whole bus sort of swings over. Everybody in that whole bus sort of all swung this way and reading the paper, and then they all swung back again, like it was normal. Nobody said anything.
No.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed my time driving these buses, and I never drove anything else really. I never went back to have another go at their new buses or anything like that, but this is the bus I remember. These are, very hard to find, and the fact that we're sitting in one now is amazing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are failed motorhomes or just gone to scrap.
Yeah. Well, one night I was 11:40 out of Victoria Street, and I got my mate to come up to Greenwood's Corner on Manukau Road, and I said to him, I want to find out how fast this bus can go. And he was driving my 54 Velox, and he said he got up to 110 in, and I was leaving them for dead.
Yeah, that power of electricity is just...
Well, he got up to over 100, and
I'm just saying, the power of electricity is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's like the power of steam. It's all instant, it doesn't make any noise, and away you go.
Yeah.
Amazing. Doug, thank you very much. A little bit of reflection back into the old days.